Welcome to the Ambitious Coach Lab, powered by 90. I'm your host, Dr. Cam Lawson. Each week, we explore the real tactics, tough conversations, and breakthrough moments that drive coaching success. Let's jump into today's episode. All right. Well, hello, friends. I am so excited to introduce Michelle Rose. She is the head of partnerships at 90. I worked alongside Michelle for quite a few years. We have a good little friendship. And so I wanted to bring her on and kind of deep dive into her story of having a unique perspective like me. She was one of the brains behind this ambitious coach thing. So we wanted to just dive into that. So welcome to the show, Michelle.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, super excited to dive into kind of your background. You have such a unique story and perspective of talking to thousands of coaches just like me. So, why
Yeah.
don't you kick it off and just tell us a little bit more of your journey to the position you're in now?
Sure, yeah. It's always fun to kind of, take a walk down memory lane and, just really kind of thought about this a lot in the last year, actually, as I rolled over 10 years, working with Mark and kind of living in EOS land, and stumbled upon the opportunity through a Craigslist ad, which still sort of makes me laugh. But connected with Mark 10 years ago, and he was just an EOS implementer. He had big visions, but he had a book of business and was looking for support, and the job was just a perfect fit at the time, and it was exciting to kind of see all of the bigger vision that he had, but it really started as just supporting his implementer practice, getting a sense for what EOS was, what coaches really need, what makes a great coach, showing up for their clients, knowing what how the client has done over the last 90 days, where they're at, what's working, not working, having that visibility. And, that was actually the hardest part for Mark. He is a very data-driven, guy, and so the inability to see sort of behind the curtain and how his clients were performing over the quarter was just a challenge. And that's really kind of like the early that's what got the software going at the very beginning. But it was really cool to be part of all of that and get a sense for what's important for coaches and implementers and, um, what makes them successful, right? A lot of it is access to the data, knowing what's happening in the business. And so that really transitioned into the platform coming to life and supporting all of the coaches and implementers, which at the time is a crazy thought that it was literally me supporting all, hundreds of implementers and Christine supporting hundreds of clients, hundreds of thousands of clients. It's a fun time to think about, but the transition was really seamless, and now I get to work with lots of different types of coaches and implementers, lots of different partners, where there's complementary, overlap between what we all offer, and so it's really been an incredible journey, right? I never could have imagined a Craigslist ad 10 years ago would be all of this today.
That is, well, one day that'll have to go in like the Smithsonian. You'll have to like track down the Craigslist that you probably like. I don't even have screenshots or like a thing back then. But like, that is, I always am amazed when I hear that story because it just what it turned into, and it's a
Mhm.
credit to you as a human and the drive that you have in building it to what it is. So, um, props to you for taking
Thanks.
a chance on a Craigslist ad. You know.
Yeah, and hey, I credit a lot of it to Christine. We're like battle buddies through, just the 2 of us. I think back to our calendars at one point, we were doing, 35 calls a week, and we'd just, like, check in, "You good? You hanging in there?" And do it all over again. So, yeah,
There's
fun
yeah,
times.
there's such a bond that comes from that when you're, just
Yeah.
going through the same thing and you're building something and it's exciting. So I mean, let's fast forward to, today of I mean, managing thousands of partners that are basically the referring, channel for 90, that tons and tons of coaches to Mark's credit, I mean, it's crazy to hear that, hey, we need a data driven to kind of track progress with clients. And so what a value add to coaches. But
Yeah.
let's talk. I mean, you have that perspective of talking to, thousands of coaches over the years. What are some of the biggest challenges you see coaches face on a regular basis?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is business development. Um, not that they're not great at it, but remembering and kind of planting the seeds early. I just was talking to an implementer who 3 clients graduated in 1 month. And you generally see that coming, right? Because they've been with you for a certain amount of time. Maybe their org checkup results are 99%. You start to like, okay, the end is probably near. But I think a lot of implementers often share that, they aren't planting those seeds earlier on, and they're not maybe having that same pipeline that they would ideally have, because working with clients it is a big job, and they're often in session many, many days a week. Some will travel, and so it just becomes challenging to really put the focus into business development. And so that tends to be the biggest thing that I hear today. And so we've got a couple ways that we can help, and things that are working right now. But that's the first thing that stands out for me.
Yeah, no, I would, echo that. I mean, that's really where a lot of so Michelle was very much involved in the, ideation of this ambitious coach idea, because we really felt that there was a big gap in the market of content around helping coaches, scale their practice, and business development, like Michelle said, was a common thing. I mean, so many coaches would come to us and be like, "I need clients, I need leads, I need, all these things," and that's just
Yeah.
the lifeblood of being a coach, right? And so, yeah, it was. I mean, it became one of the core competencies that we talk a lot about on this show is business development, because there's no right or wrong way to do business development, but there are levers that you can pull that do help with that. And I know one of the things that we had even utilized, I mean, there's ways that you can use 90 as a lead tool, or
Definitely.
you can actually get, hey, somebody's interested and maybe it's an EOS implementer and somebody is interested in, oh, well, I think I'm going to try this. I'm going to read traction. I'm going to try this on my own. Okay, well, cool. You can actually get 90. You get credit for that referral and you get access into their data and you can help first, which is a big thing in that community where, hey, and so can you talk a little bit about that from I think at the time it was called 90 for nurture, but just want to kind
Yeah.
of tee that up for you.
In EOS, right, you have the 4-2-1 model, but we know that coaches are working with and talking to far more than just that 4, right? And when you get to the 4, they're probably highly interested and engaged, and maybe more ICP at that point, but there are probably 10 times that number of companies in the network of any one implementer where they're not quite ready for that 90-minute meeting or even to get to, that stage, but they've read traction, they've dabbled in running a meeting, and just like you hand out a book, why not hand out the software? Why not get them into the platform? They can start executing, start to get a sense for what things look like, and then they're very quickly going to realize, okay, wait, there's more to this. I need a coach to walk me through this. And we've seen it play out time and again. Um, and so, something that we've actually started doing at 90 is helping to serve up some of those opportunities. It's slightly different, right? It's not like you're bringing your network to 90 and nurturing them through the platform, but almost kind of the reverse of, hey, there's clients who are dabbling in the platform today and haven't made a decision, pairing them with coaches to help them find value and connect the dots. It's similar in the sense that we're finding value and connecting the dots between 90 and EOS, between 90 and the traction book, but we're actually going first and kind of making that connection for people with folks who've already taken some action. They just haven't made the decision yet. And so we're actually, like you mentioned, Help First, we're actually calling that a Coach Help First program, but we do know that there is just so much value that coaches bring, and it can be light support or just help first support by way of having these clients on the platform early, getting that foundation built, getting them familiar with the inner workings of EOS, until they're ready for full time coaching. And so that's a progression that we've also seen.
So I'm envisioning in my head a coach listening to this. Maybe they're a newer implementer, just graduated boot camp or whatnot, and they're like, "Well, hey, I'm just going to coach well, and everything else is going to fall into place."
Mhm.
What would you challenge, kind of from that perspective? Because I think sometimes that's a different viewpoint of, hey. oh, I'm bringing a tool like 90 in on the front end even before they're even a client. That's a counterintuitive way to look at it. But what
Yeah.
would you say? I mean, when does a coach bring in a tool like 90 and kind of benefits of that from a kind of a holistic, just client journey for them?
Everyone is a little bit different. We've seen so many variations of this, but I'll tell you the most successful approach is introducing 90 with the operating system. Focus day is overwhelming for a lot of people. Especially if you're not the one who read traction and is like fully bought in, right?
Mm,
It can be a lot. It's new systems, concepts, disciplines, things that you now have to like, whoa, mindset shift for almost the entire business. If you can also give them a tool like 90 that's intuitive and simple, it's really like the take home. So you don't need to feel overwhelmed. There is a system that's going to guide you, that's going to provide the guardrails when I'm not in the room, right? Like when you have the session, you have the benefit of being in front of your coach and asking questions, and they really do guide you through. But what happens after that, right? You're only together for 8 hours every 90 days. And so giving your clients a tool to execute where you can also have that visibility. You're going to get their level 10 meeting recaps or not. And hey, why didn't we run a level 10? Or checking in on their data and their progress and how they're, completing all of their focus day or VB1 homework. That's that visibility, that data that Mark was really looking for, and how he feels like showing up and being a great coach is not just showing up and facilitating a meeting, but it's truly coaching to the issues of the business. How can we make things better? How can we get to that 85% strong in all of the 6 key components? You have to have the data. You have to have that baseline, know where you're at, and then slowly, make progress from there.
yeah, and that's such an underrated and I think almost I don't know if neglected is the right word because I don't think it's an intentional thing, but I think so many coaches get in and they start to white knuckle and they get 5 clients and then pretty soon things are moving and then you've got one client that's on this tool over here and then one client that's on this tool and then one that's on spreadsheets and one that's and it's like your brain is just in whiplash because you're trying to remember which one is where and so there's
Totally.
so many benefits of having it kind of a seamless process where we have a number of partners that are almost an exclusive thing where it's like, "Hey," I know the
Yeah.
coach that I worked with, he did that. I mean, it was, "You're on 90 or we don't work together."
Yeah.
And it became because it was so ingrained in his process from day 1. I mean, we were set up in the platform before even the first session. Went in, focus day, ran through it. You're already digesting a lot, like you said, and then boom, on lunch break, he's entering all the data in, and as soon as I was back in my office the next day, it was all right there ready to go. The accountability chart, our rocks,
So
everything
great.
was there. And then he was able to have one platform that he could go into and easily check in on all of his clients. I think at the time he had like 10 or 12 clients. And so that's a
Mhm.
lot to manage. And at any given moment in one, he just could log in and boom, this client, how is Precision doing? How is, so and so? What is, and so it's made it so easy for him that I think simplified it for him. So, I mean, from your perspective, can you tell us a little bit about, let's just say, the value proposition of how 90 helps coaches just be better at their craft?
I love that question. In fact, there are implementers who use software or technology as one of their 3 uniques, because anybody can go and read the book, right? You can find what you need online to a degree, but if the implementer is showing up to you with both the concepts, tools, and disciplines, and also a really streamlined way to adopt and execute, it's almost like an insurance policy on your investment because now we have a system, a source of record. We know that this is going to expand beyond leadership team. When our coach isn't in the room, we're still going to be successful. It's this, I really think of it that way as like an insurance policy against the investment of EOS implementation, which is significant for many businesses. And in terms of showing up better, you've got access to the data, right? You've been able to see what's happening in the business since you were away, and also you can check in between sessions. I have talked to and worked with so many implementers over the years, and the most successful coaches are not just leaving the session room and coming back 90 days later. They're having meaningful interaction in between the sessions, and often it's because of the data they're getting from their 90 accounts. They can go in and see how things are going. And similarly, they're streamlining their practice. So that sort of like quick data gathering, how are my clients doing? That doesn't have to be the implementer and often isn't. And so if you streamline your practice to one software solution, you can have your assistant pretty well embedded in there too and watching the recap emails, and you can just create these sort of thresholds like, hey, I want to know when any of my clients' meeting rating falls below an 8. I'm running fast. I'm going to be in session all day. Like, just let me know. Here are the different criteria that I want to know about. And then when you have your L10 with your assistant, they're dropping those issues on. You're talking about it. What's going to happen next? Do you want to have a call? Do you want to set up a same page? Um, just having the data at your fingertips helps you show up better. You look more engaged. You are more engaged. You're doing more and you're staying closer without having to put in a ton of extra work.
Yeah, I love that. That is such a great call out because I think there's also almost a proof in case of the work that you're doing as a coach, right? I mean, you're seeing the tangible data in a platform that allows you to see, hey, this team is actually taking it on, and it does that 90-day cadence. That can be, I mean, that's a lot of time that's
Yeah.
passed, and if you're not able to pivot, if a team is right after a session, a couple weeks later is starting to get off path and they're getting out of the cadence and you're not seeing that and able to make that adjustment or that phone call and pick up like, hey, I mean, it gets as granular as the meeting rating. So in EOS,
Mhm.
they rate the meeting. I mean, say they rated a 4, you can pick up the phone immediately if you get that recap email. You guys good? Is everything okay?
Yeah.
And you're able to pivot that quickly.
Yeah, or there's no issues on the list. That's an issue in and of itself, or visionary hasn't been present in the last 3 meetings, right? You can kind of set those thresholds, like, what's the bar that I'm willing to accept? And then anything below, you have your assistant watching for those trends or things coming through the recaps. They're setting up meetings for you. It just all comes back to the power of having the data, and it same is true for prospects, right? So you give them your link, they sign up for 90, you're added into their account, and we have implementers who will go in and do like a tool review. Hey, I know you signed up for 90. You may not be ready for coaching, but I went and did an audit of your account. Here's where I saw some gaps. Here are some opportunities. Just that meaningful touch point, a chance for a prospect to see like what could coaching look like. Doesn't take a ton of time. And again, that could even be something that your assistant helps you with too, right? Give them the parameters. This is what I'm looking for. And come back to me with a red, green, yellow on each of the tools is really powerful and gives you that meaningful interaction with a prospect.
Yeah, 100%. And I would say another thing that I personally noticed when I was in at 90 was the ambitious coaches, the ones that take it to the next level are the ones that actually run their practice just like they coach,
Absolutely.
they're running their practice in there. So at 90, you get a free account that you can play around with. And some
Mhm.
of that is like, here's a dummy environment that you can't blow up, right? You can go in there and mess around with things and try things and test things. But it's also intended for you to go in and I mean, Brandon Snyder and I actually have a joint account where we are both advisors, where we go out and we have a scorecard built. We have rocks built. We meet
Oh,
every
cool.
2 weeks where we go in 290 and we hold each other accountable. Like, dude, I didn't make my phone calls and I have to give an account to that. So even if that's just yourself or that's you and your assistant, or if you have this trusted partner circle, I know one of the guests that I've already had on here that's been released is Andrew Geisel. He has a
Mm.
group here in Greenville of himself, there's a marketing consultant, there's a focused CFO guy, and there's another individual. And the four of them get together once a month and they hold themselves
That's
accountable on a
great.
scorecard in 90. So it's a great tool to almost really practice what you preach. And I think what that does is that actually helps you get more acquainted with the tool the more that you use it. So then you're utilizing it as yourself and you get into the client, you're like, okay, I know how, I'm able to talk educated about this. And obviously 90 will give support and all of that.
Mhm.
But that is something that I see that in the best are the ones that actually run their practice like a business.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, right? And even just thinking about your VTO, they call it out, pull up your VTO at every QCE. It's so easy to just go right into your 90 app and pull it up. Um, and even just the operational efficiency that you mentioned earlier, like, kind of shifting between platforms is challenging, but there's also that, like, operational, cognitive shift, right, that has to happen, and when you're all in one platform, it makes bringing on an assistant really seamless because you're managing the practice and all of the clients in the same set of tools, and then your EA may not be the same forever, so it also is gonna help with any transitions, right? It's just one single system to manage the entire operation.
Yeah, and I will say, I'm just gonna throw this in there. It is so nice to have it all in one instead of having to log into another tool or another Google Drive account or whatever it is, to just go up to the top left of 90 and go, "Boop, switch the account," and now you're in company ABC, or whatever it is.
Completely.
And so that is a very underrated part of the simplicity of it. Okay, hey, in about 5 minutes, you could run through 10 clients and just check in from a high level to see where they're at. And that
Yep.
is I would I would argue, a very underrated thing for a coach who is going 100 miles an hour all the time.
Definitely, and just to throw out, a coming soon, I don't know when, but it is on our roadmap, right, is this sort of roll-up view
Mm.
where you'd be able to see sort of like a multi-tenant, scenario. You could see all of the accounts that you're connected to in one view, so that notion of going account by account, um, exists today, no big deal, right? Easy to kind of maneuver around, but wouldn't it be better if it was all in one roll-up view? So that's something to
Right.
look forward to.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, on that note, I mean, can you tell, are there anything like, what are some of the new features that have rolled out? I think I saw something with some project management stuff. Like, what's kind of on the horizon over the next 90, maybe even year, if you can give us a little bit of a peek on the roadmap, if you will?
Yeah, we'll be launching a lot of really cool stuff at the EOS conference, but one of them that will be is out now, but is a newer feature is the planning board. And the way I envision implementers using that is really when you annual planning, we're setting up the year. I mean, personally, when I set my annual goals and partnerships, I'm thinking about, all right, if I want to be here at the end of the year, what has to happen in Q1, 2, 3, and 4. And so you can kind of stage your rocks and those projects throughout the year. And then you just kind of pull them forward, pull them into the current year or current quarter when you're ready to move them from, planning state into an actual rock, make them smart, add your milestones. But that's something that has tons of different use cases. But as I think about implementers and from a coaching lens, I see that being really powerful.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've always really loved about 90 is the intentionality behind the tools and features that are put in. It's not just there's a very robust from a feature request thing. If one person puts in a request and it's just
Hmm.
this out in the middle of nowhere kind of thing, like, there's a little bit more weight to, hey, a ton of people have done this and we're going to be very strategic in that. So that's one thing I've always appreciated about 90 is
Yeah,
the decisions that are made are very rigorous in how it's all right, what is this going to do to help the experience be better? And so I've always loved that. It's not just features for feature's sake. It's there's a lot of data
oh
and
yeah.
research behind it. And so that's really cool to hear that. That's awesome. I'm excited to kind of like dive into that myself.
Yeah, and to your point about, product development, right? It's not just, what sounds cool to do next, it's really based on client and coach feedback. Um, we do tons of product interviews, and so that's an opportunity for anyone who's interested in helping shape the future of the platform, or has a vision for a particular tool, or some use cases that would be interesting for us to explore. That's always something that we're looking for.
Yeah, no doubt. And I know you get lots of, because coaches have actually a very unique perspective because their experience is a lot of times 10, 15 times, right? However many clients they have, they're seeing things from a larger lens. And so that coach feedback is really, really helpful. But let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about partner program, right? Because you guys have this really
Yeah.
cool program. So let's say somebody's listening that maybe hasn't really explored that conversation with you all yet. Can you just give us a little bit of a rundown on kind of what the partner program is and what it's all about and how it helps coaches?
Absolutely. So if you decide to become a partner with 90, you already mentioned earlier a free coach account, and that's really intended to run your coaching practice. It's a great place to start if you are fresh out of boot camp and you're thinking about your VTO. What is my business going to look like in 1, 3, 10 years? The same exact exercise that you would do with your clients is incredibly valuable for you to do yourself. And then you can continue from there, building out your own account, thinking about, processes and how you want to operate if you were to hire an assistant, or what needs to be true for you to hire an assistant. You can start logging session ratings. You're tracking your own measurables like calls, business development. All of that can be inside of your free coach account, and a great place to really get acquainted with the tools and features of 90. And then once you're in the platform, you'll be invited to join our referral program where you get your own link. And as we were sharing before, a great way to drum up some pipeline and to build your business development flywheel is through sharing that link with anyone in your network that could benefit from 90. And I think that's an important distinction. They don't have to be your full implementation client to start seeing the value of an integrated system, especially in support of EOS, where ultimately that's the goal, right? You want them to get familiar enough with EOS that they're ready for a coach. So this becomes a really good foundational training for them, a place to just get their feet wet and figure out what it could look like for them. And once you join our partner program and clients start signing up, you'll start earning a number of different ways. Trials start. So before they even choose a plan, you're cashing out, which is really cool. We're pulling the rewards forward. Once they convert, you're earning cash, and then an ongoing revenue share from there. But we have over 1,000 partners actively earning and referring today.
Let's take it from the perspective of the coaches that really take the program and maximize it, right? What makes them different than say, "Hey, I'm a coach. I'm just gonna as my client decides, like, I'd love to reap the benefits of that." Like, can you kinda talk about that mentality shift of the ones that really start to work it and really grow and benefit from maximizing the opportunities within the program?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do have an all-in reward for partners. So when you get your clients to roll out, that's again, that's where the magic happens. Great, it's running at the leadership team level. But we all know that a fully integrated business operating system is the goal. It is the best case scenario for your client to have EOS all the way down throughout the business. And so if you can help your clients get there and roll out completely through the organization all the way to where it makes sense. I realize there's field managers may not qualify, right? But all the way to where it makes sense, there is an incentive for coaches there. So even just thinking about literally the benefit of leveraging 90 and getting it fully rolled out, there is significant upside for our partners. Um, but when we also think about just including it in your coaching practice, I think it just creates a unique differentiator. There's so many systems and coaches and consultants out there. And so when you bring this holistic offering of concepts, tools, and disciplines, plus the tools to execute, I do really think you're standing out. They're hiring you, they're paying you tens of thousands of dollars to tell them what to do, to guide them. Don't make them go and research a bunch of
Mhm.
different platforms. They want your opinion. And I think that conviction of choosing a platform because you've seen your clients grow and scale and become healthier faster and adopt the tools faster, you have all of that story to tell. But they're looking for your guidance. And so we just tend to see most success, right? When you really do kind of bundle it all together, package it together, and give your clients a comprehensive offering.
Yeah, and I know it's easy for, those of us that have worked for 90 or are at 90 to kinda say that, but I will say I'm gonna point out Cullen Talley, who is a great example of this. My former coach, he's been a guest on this, big 90, fan. And it's not just because he likes us, it's because the platform has led to tangible results for his clients and for his practice. And one of the
Yes.
things that he has talked about is, and he said this on this show, is he has differentiated himself because of the way that he positions and utilizes 90. He said and again, this is his words. He said he's won deals 2 to 3 times where he is 2 to 3 times more expensive than the next coach or the other coach that's in the running.
Yeah.
But because of the way that he has gone in and been focused and dove into one platform. So I think I want to make sure people heard what you said because there's so much value in, hey, sure, you wanna play Switzerland and all right, yeah, the client's gonna choose. I'm gonna let them choose. I'm gonna be neutral, and that's fine. That is not necessarily
Yeah.
a wrong mentality. But if you do wanna differentiate yourself and you do wanna position yourself as the expert, I think it is critical that you find, all right, these are the tools that I work with. This is the experience, and you start to niche down in that, and that's fine if you wanna go this other way, but I'm gonna go in here, and I think that levels you and gets you to drill down further, and Cullen's a walking testament of that.
I couldn't agree more, and I see that all the time, more and more, as people are really kind of learning through, what the client experience is when you're sort of not choosing a platform and not guiding them. Um, some are even going in before the 90-minute meeting and creating an account for the client, putting in their logo, changing the colors, building out their VTO, because a lot of this stuff is on their websites, right? Their mission, their values tend to be easy to find sometimes, right? But building out as much as you can to make it feel like a staged home, make it feel like this is an extension of what I'm teaching you. This is just we're going to read the book and we're going to get all of these concepts, and then we're gonna bring it to life in the platform. And I just did a testimonial video with, a client yesterday, Sage Frog Marketing. They've been with us since the very beginning, and he said something that I thought was really great, and I hope I don't butcher it, but he said that, EOS helped us get what we want from our business, and 90 helped us get what we want from EOS. And maybe I'm saying that wrong, but it was something to that effect where it was the execution. It
Yeah.
helped us get what we wanted from EOS, right? And I think back to something I said earlier of 90 becomes that sort of insurance policy against your EOS investment.
Yeah, that's really good. So let's take out, the metaphorical crystal ball, if you will, and let's talk a little bit about the future of how you see 90 supporting the future generation of ambitious coaches. What does that look like from your perspective?
Yeah, I think we're in the thick of it now. We're really shifting the way we're partnered with implementers, really across the funnel. And so today, and sort of historically, implementers would bring their full implementation clients to 90, and that's a finite pool, right? You can only work with so many. But sort of expanding everyone's mentality a little bit and showing them the way by let's back it up a little bit. Let's pair you with our clients who haven't made a decision yet. Maybe they aren't sure they need EOS assistance, or they don't know how it all connects. Like, let's shift left a little bit and start pairing coaches with these self implementing companies, helping them find value in connecting the dots between 90 and EOS. And that becomes a long-term pipeline and relationship opportunity for these implementers. Once they convert, great, but now again, there's like this opportunity to now shift right. And so, how do we continue helping them find value and adopting more tools? The platform itself isn't difficult to navigate, but it's the color, the commentary, the context that comes from coaches who can bring in the training and the education that really bring the tools to life to help clients find more value and continue finding value in 90. And then even further, right, is that expansion opportunity, like we mentioned, right, with like getting them to roll out is truly where the magic happens and is ultimately the end goal for anyone who chooses to run on EOS. You never pick up that book wanting it stay sort of isolated at the leadership team level. It really is intended for the entire company. And so, how can we then partner with coaches on expansion opportunities? So, we really are shifting the way we are partnered with all of the implementers. And it's been really incredible to see. I mean, some of these have turned into full coaching engagements. If not, it's just this additional revenue stream, right? It's at bats, it's a chance to continue honing your craft and helping self implementing companies find value, learning what they're experiencing, just getting in front of them. So many implementers will buy lists or run paid ads, and we're literally just delivering you this warm connection to a company that needs help. And so that's been really, really incredible to see. We're early stages, right? We just launched this program at the end of last year, um, but we're seeing green shoots and lots of really positivity.
Oh, that's so exciting. Yeah, that's, I feel like the art and practice of being a business coach, I mean, there's just it's gone through so many iterations over time, but I mean, especially in the last few years, I mean, you've got AI on the picture now, and then all these potential marketing channels that you can do and leveraging automations and auto hunting and all these things. And
Absolutely.
there's so many levers for coaches to figure out. But man, the closer you can get to that qualified ICP who's already raised their hand, they're already running on EOS, there's such a benefit to that. So, and you're
Yeah.
talking about a massive network of companies that are running on EOS. So, well, Michelle, this has been awesome. Thank you for taking the time to come in and kind of share more about 90 and give us a sneak peek and share more about your journey and talk about all things partner program at 90. But I always like to ask guests on the tail end of this, if you had to go back to rookie Michelle, you could take this however, from
Mhm.
whatever perspective you want, but rookie Michelle, let's say you have all the knowledge and experience and passion that you have now. What advice would you give yourself looking back?
I love the question, and I'm gonna take an EOS lens here. I've been to numerous Great Boss workshops, and every time I'm like, "Wow," even 10 years in, I'm learning something and I'm taking something home with me. Don't be afraid of delegation.
Mm,
I think it has been so hard for me in my career to say no or not take on more. And it's also just like a thing that I do in my personal life. It's like such a obvious like that would be my problem, right? Knowing if you know me well, you know that that's just a thing. But saying no or being able to pass things off and trust that they'll still get done. I think it may have been you know, um, probably to my benefit in early days of startup land and just being like, yes, we'll wear any hat, we'll do anything. Yeah. But it's like the further you get into it, the more delegation and trusting that other people can do great work and take things across the finish line. And then it doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to have my fingerprints on it. I think would have served me well in many, many occasions. And I look back and see so many opportunities where I could have delegated or implemented other tools or done things differently to move faster, you know? But in the moment, it's like, just get out of my way, I'll do it, you know? Certainly guilty of that.
yeah, that's good. I appreciate you sharing that. I think that's very relevant, even in a solopreneur's, mindset, because it can be hard to try to be everything, especially when you are a solopreneur and an entrepreneur. You have to wear a lot of
Right.
hats, but there is, well, how can I get myself in the lane where I'm playing to my strengths and I'm not killing myself? So I really appreciate you sharing that. And so, second question that I always like to ask is, what is a lesson that you're in the middle of learning right now?
I think trusting myself. Um, And trusting my voice, you know, that's one that, I tend to be a quieter force, uh, and so just getting more comfortable and trusting myself, I think is one that, transcends business and personal life, but definitely stands out as, like, the lesson of the day for me right now.
Yeah, well, you are a powerhouse, and I want you to know that, and I respect you, I look up to you, I benefited from your leadership, and so I hear you, but also wanna encourage you that you bring so much value to 90, to the world, so I appreciate you, and
Thanks,
so,
Dan. I
well, cool,
appreciate
well,
that so much.
yeah, Absolutely. Well, thank you for taking the time to chat. Let's say somebody wants to talk to you about the 90 partner program. Like, what's the best way to get in touch with you and learn more?
Yeah, my email is easy, Michelle at 90.io, or feel free, partner at 90.io is another good one. That's manned by the entire partnerships team. But reach out to us anytime. We'd love to take care of you. It's warm and cozy over here. We've got lots of partners doing really great work.
Yeah, and I'll put all that in the show notes so people can easily get to that. But I know Michelle and anyone on her team would be more than happy to kind of give you a rundown, and myself included, as someone who's worked there. But well, thank you for watching. I hope this was beneficial to you. I know this is a little bit less traditional of an episode, but I really wanted to really deep dive into because the technology aspect of being a coach is such a critical decision thing that you need to work through and figure out for your practice, both how you're going to run your practice from the practice management side, from the business development side, your offering all the way through being able to master that and have a top notch client experience. So I hope this was beneficial. I know it was to me. So thanks to Michelle, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much, Cam.
That's it for today's episode of the Ambitious Coach Lab. My hope is that something here helps you sharpen your craft and keep building a coaching practice you're proud of. Before we wrap, a quick thank you to our sponsor, 90. If you're coaching leadership teams, having your clients run their entire world in 90 truly elevates your work. Vision, rocks, scorecards, issues, it all lives in one centralized place. The clarity keeps your clients aligned between sessions and makes every conversation you have with them more focused and more impactful. I've used 90 with over 500 leadership teams, and I can tell you it makes great companies better and great coaches even more effective. Feel free to use promo code AC20 for 20% off. Again, that's AC20 for 20% off. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'm Cam, cheering you on as you grow your ambitious coaching practice. We'll see you next time.